If your cat suddenly shows their belly, it may look like an invitation to touch them. But for many cats, it means something completely different. Most people misunderstand this behavior because depending on the moment, your cat may be showing trust, testing boundaries, or simply communicating in a very subtle way. A cat's belly is one of the most vulnerable parts of its body. In the wild, exposing the stomach would put vital organs at risk. That's why cats naturally protect this area, especially around animals or people they don't fully trust. So, when your cat rolls over and exposes their belly near you, something important is happening psychologically. But that doesn't always mean they want physical contact. And this is where it gets interesting. Many cats show their belly as a sign of emotional safety, not as an invitation to pet them. To humans, the gesture can look playful or affectionate. But in cat communication, exposing the belly often means, "I feel safe enough to relax around you," not necessarily, "Please touch me." You may notice this happens when your cat is calm, sleepy, stretched out near you, or following you around the house. Sometimes they'll flop onto the floor dramatically the moment you walk into the room. That behavior usually isn't random. Cats are extremely aware of their environment. When they expose vulnerable body areas, they're lowering their guard. And that only happens when they feel relatively secure. But here's the part most people miss. The moment a hand moves toward the belly, the meaning of the interaction changes completely for the cat. What felt safe and relaxed can suddenly feel unpredictable. That's because many cats become overstimulated very quickly, especially around sensitive areas like the stomach. Their skin and nerves are extremely responsive, and what feels pleasant for 1 second may become uncomfortable almost immediately. So when a cat suddenly grabs your hand, kicks, or lightly bites after showing their belly, it usually isn't aggression in the way humans think about aggression. It's often communication. Your cat may simply be saying, "That's enough." And sometimes the change happens incredibly fast. You may notice your cat purring one moment, then swatting the next. To people, this feels confusing. But cats often communicate through thresholds. Once a sensory limit is crossed, their behavior shifts instantly. And your cat isn't doing this to trick you. In fact, many cats trust people enough to expose their belly specifically because they believe they won't be forced into unwanted contact. That trust matters more than the belly itself. But there's another layer to this behavior that many owners never notice. Sometimes, cats expose their belly during moments of social observation rather than affection. You'll see this when a cat lies on its back while carefully watching you from across the room. They aren't fully asleep. They're monitoring. Cats often combine relaxation with awareness. Even when they look completely calm, they're still reading movement, tone, routine, and body language. That's part of why cats can seem mysterious. Their signals are subtle, and small differences completely change the meaning. For example, a loose stretched body with slow blinking usually signals comfort, but a tense tail, wide pupils, or twitching skin can mean your cat is becoming overstimulated even before they swat. And this is the part most people never connect. Cats rarely communicate with one signal alone. The belly exposure is only one piece of a larger emotional picture. You may also notice your cat exposing their belly more often in specific environments. Warm rooms, familiar routines, quiet evenings, or moments after eating can all increase feelings of safety and relaxation. Some cats even develop rituals around trusted humans. Maybe your cat rolls over every morning when you wake up, or stretches beside you when you come home, or flops onto the floor while watching you prepare food. These repeated behaviors often become emotional habits tied to security and predictability. And predictability is extremely important to cats. What looks like laziness or random behavior is often deeply connected to emotional regulation. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Some cats actually do enjoy brief belly rubs. The difference is that they usually control the interaction themselves. They may lean into your hand for a second, then move away once they've had enough. And cats that trust deeply often communicate their limits very clearly before becoming defensive. The problem is that humans tend to ignore those small warning signs. A tail flick, flattened ears, tense paws, a sudden stare. These are often your cat's polite way of saying, "I'm getting uncomfortable." And when those signals are ignored, the cat escalates communication. That's why understanding your cat's body language changes the relationship completely. Instead of seeing behavior as good or bad, you begin seeing emotional states. You begin noticing comfort, caution, overstimulation, trust, curiosity, or emotional boundaries. And once you start seeing those patterns, cats suddenly become much easier to understand. What looks like rejection is often simply sensitivity. What looks like aggression is often communication. And what looks like a simple belly display may actually be a quiet sign of trust, because trusting cats is rarely loud. Dogs often show affection openly and directly. Cats usually communicate through subtle vulnerability, routine, proximity, and emotional comfort. Sometimes they slow blink from across the room. Sometimes they expose their belly while still protecting it from contact. Those small contradictions are part of how cats communicate safety while still maintaining control over their space. And honestly, that balance says a lot about how cats experience relationships. They want connection, but they also want choice. If your cat shows their belly, but suddenly grabs your hand when you touch them, you're definitely not alone. I'd really like to know, does your cat enjoy belly rubs, or do they only like showing their belly without being touched? And when does your cat usually do this behavior? Share your experience in the comments. I always enjoy reading the different ways cats communicate with their people. Thanks for spending a quiet moment with us and learning a little more about how cats think and feel. If you enjoy understanding the small behaviors that reveal your pet's inner world, consider subscribing and joining us for more gentle insights into animal minds. See you in the next video.